Another option we've added to add files is the ability to eject 3.5-inch disks on command. Pressing Apple Y ejects the disk, allowing us to insert a new disk into the drive with a little less effort and add files from that disk. In AppleWorks 4.0, we've made an effort to simplify how a user changes current devices. For example, if you go to the Change Current Disk menu and you do not know what volumes are in your various devices, simply press Apple ? And AppleWorks pulls the devices and displays the volume names, thus telling you where your disks are. Another way we've enhanced the Change Current Disk option is to allow you to press Apple Return with the device highlighted. For example, let's select slot 7, disk 1, which is our hard drive. Pressing Apple Return displays a list of subdirectories. I'll select the Quadriga subdirectory and press Return. The path now shows hard 1 Quadriga. At this point, I could press Return in order to add files, or I could press Apple A and add yet another subdirectory level. In this case, I'll select the Files subdirectory. Now I can press Return and I will enter the hard 1 Quadriga file subdirectory and be able to add files at will. One of our goals with AppleWorks 4.0 was improving the integration between the modules. We accomplished this several different ways, including by enhancing the clipboard. If we go into a word processor file and copy several lines to the clipboard, we now have the ability to go to the Clipboard Options menu, select Word Processor, and enter a new word processor file, which is actually the clipboard. We can edit this file typing in new text, and we can also run the spelling checker and various other options. It's a full-blown AppleWorks word processor file, but it's really the clipboard information. When we've done editing the file, pressing Escape moves us to the main menu. If we create another file on the desktop, we can copy the text normally, just as in 3.0. However, in 4.0 we also have a database and a spreadsheet clipboard. Moving to the database, I will copy several records to the file, from the file into the clipboard. Again, moving to other activities, this time I'm going to select Edit the Database Clipboard. What looks like a normal database file is identified at the top left corner as the clipboard. Again, we can edit the information at will. Now, if I switch back to a word processor file and decide I want the database information, I can press Apple C to copy from clipboard, as always. However, if I press Apple F, I now get to choose which clipboard I wish to use, the word processor, database, or spreadsheet. Selecting database pastes in the database information. Going back and pressing Apple F again, I can select word processor, and you can see the word processor information we edited. The same holds true for the spreadsheet. Let's take a look at a spreadsheet now. Copy several lines. We'll copy several rows to the clipboard. We now have them on the clipboard. Now there is a shortcut. Instead of having to go back to other activities, select the clipboard menu, and then select the clipboard we want, we can press Apple Q and simply press Apple C for the current clipboard. This immediately puts us into the current clipboard file, or the one which was last accessed. In this case, the spreadsheet. Again, we can edit the file, entering any information we wish, and when we press Escape, we exit with the information restored to the clipboard. One other major feature of the clipboard makes it easy to add information. Let's highlight several lines of text here, and instead of picking Copy to Clipboard, we'll select Append to Clipboard. This adds on to the existing clipboard information. Now if I move to the bottom of the file and copy from clipboard, you'll see that I got the paragraph I edited in the word processor along with the newly appended database information. In order to make AppleWorks 4.0 easier to use, we decided to build in the features of Timeout FileMaster, first released back when the Timeout series began in 1987. We did make several enhancements though. Let's take a look at some of them now. Pressing Open Apple Q, Open Apple D gets us directly to the disk activities. The first option is Copy a Disk. That simply copies the information from one disk in an exact duplicate onto another disk. Erase a disk erases the information on a disk directory in 1 or 2 seconds, giving us a blank disk ready to use. If the disk is not formatted, the Format a Disk option is needed first. Another option on the disk activities is the compare disk option. This compares two disks byte for byte and lets you know if they're identical or if there's a difference in them. Rename directory simply changes the volume name of a disk. Copy a subdirectory duplicates the contents of an entire subdirectory onto another disk, and create a subdirectory creates a new subdirectory on the current disk. These options are very convenient since you do not have to leave AppleWorks to carry out normal file and disk maintenance. Speaking of file maintenance, we can press Open Apple Q, Open Apple F to move directly to the File Activities menu. List all files should be self-explanatory. We also have Copy, Move, and Install files. Move files is identical to copy files, except that the source file is deleted once the file has been successfully copied. AppleWorks 4.0 makes sure that the copy was successful so that you do not end up losing your original file until you have a duplicate of it. Other options include rename and delete files, lock and unlock files. All of these activities are accessible with only two keystrokes, Open Apple Q followed by Open Apple F or Open Apple D to put you at the desired menu. This makes it even easier to access things like disk copy and file copy than it was under Timeout File Master, and several of the new features make it more powerful.
Hi, I'm Dan, and I'm the other programmer on the AppleWorks 4.0 project, and I'm going to demonstrate some of the database and spreadsheet features new in this version. One of the first new features that we've made in the database is the addition of more space. We've given you more categories, 60 of them, into which to enter your data. Previous versions only gave you 30. Let's look at a file. Large database. The first thing you'll notice is our scrolling list of categories. We've passed 30, the old limit. Notice we have 58 categories now. We're going to add 2 more for a total of 60. Let's give you C59 and C60. Go back into the file, and to see your 60 categories, you simply scroll horizontally. Take a minute and look, C25, C46, all the way to C60. And also, in the single record layout, we can scroll down to see all 60 of our categories. And they can be arranged in any order, however you would like to see them. In addition to doubling the number of categories, we've also doubled the amount of data that can be entered into each record. Another feature in AppleWorks 4.0 is formatted database categories. Watch as the cursor moves along and hits the telephone number. You notice mask appeared at the bottom of the screen. We put a definition on this category called a mask, which enabled us to enter only a portion of the data, and the other portion was entered automatically by AppleWorks. For instance, as we go down to this next phone number, I'll enter the area code. And notice that the cursor jumps right over to the prefix. Enter a prefix, it jumps over the dash, and finally the suffix. These are very easy to set up. Let's look at the next telephone category. We'll put a mask on this one of the same type. We use an Open Apple O to go into Options, and we select Modify Rules. In Modify Rules, we have several options. We want number 3, Mask. Go down to the bottom, Mask, and here we'll be able to define a mask. All you need to do is simply type in the characters that you wish to have in this mask. So for most telephone prefixes, we want it to begin with a parentheses. Notice just above the cursor we have 3 option types. We can tell it accept anything, accept numbers only, or accept text only. Since telephone numbers are numerics, we're going to ask it to accept numbers only. So use a Control-N. We'll give it 3 numerics only because there are 3 characters in the prefix. Close it with a parenthesis.